Hi everyone. Many of you have sent me this video, Bryan Johnson talking in Bitcoin Magazine's conference. Bryan Johnson is an American millionaire. I think he made like half a billion dollar and created a company and then sold out and went 100% into longevity and doing all kinds of experiments on himself. That's who he is, and he went to a Bitcoin conference, in fact, the largest Bitcoin conference, Bitcoin Magazine's conference. Many of you have sent me this video because I guess I'm somewhat of a Bitcoin legend or something like that. And right now I am working on longevity. So in fact, even in longevity, I am working on the things those are pretty close to the Bryan Johnson's line of work as well. So I guess you're interested in what I have to say about this video. But also I am very interested in about it because I haven't seen it, and I have been declining Bitcoin conference speaker invitations because I want to talk about longevity, and I don't think I can provide any value for people on Bitcoin conferences. So I'm just really interested in what Bryan had to say about Bitcoin and probably longevity. Yeah, so what's he doing even in a Bitcoin conference? So let's see.
Everyone, how many of you got 8 hours of sleep last night? 7, 6, 5, 4. Good. 3, 2, 1. Who did a banger last night? Who was out all night? Yeah, thank you for your honesty. Okay, that's great.
Okay, so in a Bitcoin conference, everyone is out at night. Just let me illustrate it with a story. I went to BTC Prague. That was an important conference to me. In fact, brought almost my entire company, at least 1/3 of it, like 10 people. And it was an important conference, so I had to make sure that I'm sleeping properly, and I had speaker slots there, and I had to make sure that I'm doing everything very well, very fresh with peak IQ. And even then it was really hard to sleep properly, right? So it's just the entire event just makes you, there is always something to do, even if you're trying to sleep best that you can, you're probably not going to.
So my case with you guys is that the last halving of Bitcoin is 2140. Is that not? Wouldn't it be cool if we were all around for that? My message to you is that
So halving in Bitcoin, so there can be only 21 million Bitcoin, and Satoshi Nakamoto invented Bitcoin in a way that every miners are mining new Bitcoins into existence, and every 4 years there are half of the amount of Bitcoins that miners can mine out. So that's a halving. Every 4 years it halves. That's what he's talking about. That's the halving in Bitcoin. Oh yeah, and I see the Mara pool. Mara is a mining pool. Pool is like a group of Bitcoin miners come together into a pool, and this Mara is sponsoring this event, and I just wanted to note to fuck Mara pool because they were the only ones, if not the only ones, definitely the first ones who started to blacklist coin joins from their pool. Hopefully they are not doing that anymore.
is that we may be the first generation who won't die. That has
Okay, we may be the first generation who won't die. I heard him saying this so many times, but I never seen a coherent argument from him to be made why that is the case. And I will just suspect he's not going to tell us anything about that here either. We'll see.
been a ridiculous statement from when time began, and this is the first time that has ever been possible. Yes? Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Okay, So what I've been doing over the past couple of years is
Okay, so he's moving on, right? Like, again, he's not making an argument for it. He's just claiming like it would be true. Like I would really want this to be the case. Please, Bryan, if you're listening to this, explain it to us. Why is this the first? Why do we have a chance now?
I've been trying to take a qualitative idea of health and make it into a global competitive sport. Give something.
He's not talking about Bitcoin. That's fine. But he's talking about a sport of longevity, which is pretty cool because I am organizing a sport of a longevity sport competition, which is called the Longevity World Cup. And Bryan he's going to explain it, but he's also organizing, he's popularizing, is like more of a marketing person rather than the organizer. He's organizing the Rejuvenation Olympics. So the Rejuvenation Olympics was created by Bryan's previous chief scientist, Oliver Zollman, at least the idea, and then they teamed up with True Diagnostic, and Bryan, Zollman, and True Diagnostic as a company created the Rejuvenation Olympics.
Status and ranking, and humans love to play that game. I've tried to be the world's first rejuvenation athlete. So you see here, I've posted, I have the world's best comprehensive biomarkers. I've posted 60 of the...
That's just not true. I'm not sure I want to go into this, but I should be listening to him more. But he's been caught cherry picking his biomarkers. So go to the doctor and take a blood test 10 times a year. If you choose the best biomarkers of each blood test and only publish those, now then you're Bryan Johnson, because that's what he was doing. He only published the best results of every single blood test result of the past 2 years. And even that wasn't that impressive, or at least some people said they were not. Compared to mine, they were probably super impressive, of course. Okay, anyway. And I don't know why, but Bryan doesn't... Well, speaking of biomarkers, I think I know why he don't want to compete in my Longevity World Cup. It's because the biomarkers that he published, he would be somewhere in the mid ranges in the Longevity World Cup with those biomarkers, and of course there is no bragging rights coming with that. So anyway, he's doing well on the Rejuvenation Olympics. On the other hand, he will probably tell you that in a moment.
Of the most predictive markers for longevity. And I do so in a way to invite others to try to replicate and beat my scores. But it's also a point to try to say you can, in fact, quantify health. That we are transitioning from a mode of storytelling to a quantitative framework. So one thing I've learned is that a unit of measurement is really helpful in longevity. Over the past couple of years, I've been measuring my...
I think that's a very important point. A unit of measurement is really important in longevity. In fact, that might be the bottleneck in longevity research. So the main problem that we are contending with here is that, all right, so how do you know that your intervention actually made someone's life longer? Like, it's not like we have 100 years to make different experiments how long people live, right? So what we can do is we have a biological aging clock instead of measuring the actual age. And as ever improving biological aging clocks are coming, then the longevity research bottleneck is hopefully going to disappear with that. Oh, and I just want to note that if you are interested in, on the screen there is Keith Blondin, I interviewed him on my YouTube channel, so check that out. All right, Bryan, continue, please.
Measuring my speed of aging. So inside of each one of you is a clock that tells you how fast or how slow you're aging. If you're aging at a 1, that means 1 year of time passes, and you have 1 year of what you age 1 year. If you are...
All right, so I just wanted to say that I also interviewed here number 3, Daniel Lewis, number 4, Sim Lund, and number 9, Richard Heck, and number 13, Keith Blondin. So please check that out, check my interviews out.
1.2, you're aging faster than time is passing, and if you're less than, you're slower than time is passing. So, consistent with trying to make this a global sport, I created the Rejuvenation Olympics, where people all around the world are competing to see who has the lowest speed of aging score. I'm currently number 1 in the world, 0.54 for my best 3 test score. This means that for every year that passes, I age roughly 6 months.
So that's very debatable if it really means that. So for one, Bryan is probably doing dozens and dozens of speed of aging tests. Even if the metaphor of speed of aging works, and let's assume it does, Bryan doing dozens and dozens of speed of aging tests and takes the 3 best that he succeeded to do in the past 2 years and averages that out, that's when you get that. So it doesn't really mean that he's aging so slow. It just means that at the best times of his past 2 years, he was aging that slow, right?
So you can, in fact, meaningfully slow down your speed of aging through various things I'm going to talk to you about today. So you probably hear a lot of things about health. It probably seems all very confusing, and people disagree with everyone about everything. So what do? I'm going to help you understand there's one marker in particular that will help you achieve the majority of the health benefits, lowering your resting heart rate before bed, okay?
That's interesting. Of course, I heard this before, but I haven't heard this to be the chief marker of everything. I might be right, for all I know. It's interesting.
So we're going to spend about 5 minutes on this. Everyone put your phones down and let's focus on this, yeah? Okay. So my credentials in doing this is I scored 8 months of perfect sleep. Okay, 100% sleep score for 8 months. I wanted to demonstrate you can, in fact, master the practice of sleep. And in doing this, I realized in all my health practices that the most important marker determining whether or not I was going to have restful sleep was my resting heart rate before bed. So tonight, when you go to bed, lay down on your pillow.
I wonder why it's not HRV as well. But I like that he's talking about resting heart rate because I have a pretty badass resting heart rate and pretty bad HRV, genetically actually. Anyway, so what does he have here? Alcohol before bedtime. Yeah, that messes it up. So I've been experimenting with these things. Anxiety, stress, rumination. I don't know how much that affects it, but probably. Late day caffeine definitely messes it up. Intense evening exercise. Oh, yeah, probably. I'm not trying that, but probably that messes it up. Large evening meals. Yeah, that messes it up completely. Nicotine. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure about that. Dehydration. Well, nicotine actually. If you put a nicotine patch on yourself and sleep with that, then you're going to have some real crazy nightmares. And eventually those nightmares you can take control of and they won't be like proper nightmares, just lucid, very eventful dreams. Anyway, dehydration, yeah, probably whatever, high room or body temperature, sure. Certain meds and stimulants, yeah, probably, definitely.
Pillow, take a few deep breaths. If you have a wearable, pull it up and see your heart rate in real time. If not, just take your pulse for 6 seconds and then multiply that by 10. let's say your resting heart rate is 60 beats per minute at your baseline. Your goal over the next month is to lower your resting heart rate by 10% to 54. Okay? And the way you're going to do this is these things right here. So one of the biggest things that I've seen is the timing of my final meal of the day is perhaps the greatest influencer of my resting heart rate. So my final meal of the day now is around noon. I go to bed at 8:30.
I want to say that this is a pretty good list, by the way. I mean, in a sense of completeness, because I can't even come up with anything else that in my experiments would show that, hey, that lowers it. By the way, it's enough if you eat around 5 to 6 p.m. Don't have to have your last meal at noon like Bryan does. I personally can't notice a difference from 5 to 6 p.m. at least. But if I eat at 7, 8, definitely my resting heart rate becomes high.
You don't need to do that. If you simply start with 4 hours before your bedtime, so if your bedtime is 10 p.m., finish eating your final meal of the day by 6 p.m. No snacks and no food after that. You'll notice that when you do that, your resting heart rate goes down because your body is almost finished digesting food, and it leaves metabolic capacity for your body to then sleep. You see here in these other things, alcohol, for example, increases your resting heart rate. Anxiety.
I'm starting to have a feeling he's not gonna talk about Bitcoin now.
Anxiety and stress and rumination, that's the biggest one. Okay, so if you master first, don't eat right before bed, 4 hours before. You want a wind down routine. So if you say, again, your bedtime is 10 p.m., when 9 p.m. arrives, screens off, and you're in a wind down mode, calming your body and mind from the day's stress. So you know this from experience. When that moment of the day comes, you're stressed, you're tired, you're mad, you're anxious, you have all kinds of ambitious thoughts. That rumination will drive your heart rate up, which will lessen your sleep quality. Now, the reason why these things are so important is because when the resting heart rate is up, your sleep quality goes down. And when your sleep quality goes down, your mood goes down. Your want of bad foods goes up. So sleep triggers this cascade where you're not going to exercise, you're going to eat bad foods, you're going to put on weight, you're going to have mood imbalances. Sleep is the number one best performance-enhancing drug in the world. Resting heart rate is the best predictor of your sleep quality. So to summarize health in one statement, if you lower your resting heart rate before bed, you will achieve the majority of the health benefits through all the other things you could do in life. Because it leads to high quality sleep, which then leads to more positive behavior. So I would encourage you to make that your single practice. It's also your accountability partner. So if before bed, you are looking at that pint of ice cream or the bag of chips or the candy, you realize that's going to drive up your heart rate and you're not going to do it. Okay, these are the things I would suggest. It is very counterintuitive in our culture today. I would suggest each one of you build your life around sleep. Okay, again, this is what I've learned over 5 years of doing this, of having the best biomarkers of anybody in the world. Building your life around sleep is the best thing you can do to make more money in Bitcoin.
So, I mean, that's an interesting idea because sleep is something that you do a lot. Like, you probably don't do anything else as much as how much you're sleeping. So, building your life around sleep. And now
you will make more money in Bitcoin.
And now he's gonna talk about Bitcoin. You make more money in Bitcoin if you get sleep. Yeah, kind of makes sense. Just a short story. In my previous company, every time when the server went down, we had like a crazy heightened state of alertness. All right, the server goes down, people cannot send money, so everyone has to work full all the time until the server comes back up and people can finally use their own money, right? Okay, so I created a guide of what happens, of how to conduct yourself when that happens. so people know what to do. And one of the 3 principles that I set up was sleep properly. Right? Like, it's tempting to just stay up all night and try to fix the server, but usually you have to wind down, go to sleep, and try the thing again tomorrow morning, because I had enough experience with it to find that sleepless work and coding and debugging on a system that's down is not the best thing to do.
And I know you don't believe, many of you don't believe that. You will. You will make better decisions. Your mood will be more stable. You will make better judgments. Okay?
So he's waiting for us to read this. Let me read this to you guys. My nighttime erections are the length of the Titanic, which is 3 hours and 15 minutes. It's a badass joke. Congrats, Bryan. That's a flex.
Now, why would I share something like that? Because when I talk about sleep, the majority of you are like, yeah, whatever. Did you know if you don't get high quality sleep, you don't get nighttime boners?
Yeah, probably that's true, but also he's using some kind of slow Viagra stuff, so that should be mentioned here as well. It's actually, when I looked into it, not complete bullshit, but he's using as a longevity supplement some kind of slow Viagra that makes his nighttime erections long. That's something you should know, but I think it's a pretty nice flex, though.
This is true for men and women. Did you know that nighttime erections, men and women, is one of the most important biomarkers for your health? It is psychological, cardiovascular, and your fitness. So as you age, this is again true for men and women, nighttime erections go down. It is a function of aging damage. So when I first started talking about this important marker, I had several friends, many of which are in Web3, were saying, Bryan, I have no nighttime erections. I said, how is your sleep? I get 4 to 5.
So I have no idea if this is true, and I won't take Bryan's word on it, but this is kind of a plausible theory, right? Because on the one hand, this is a taboo topic, so it's unlikely to get popularized as some biomarker because people don't like to talk about this. But if it's an important biomarker, so there is a plausibility that, oh, well, it was all under our nose, we just didn't notice it. But yeah, on the other hand, this is definitely something that attention seeker influencer might use for talking points, right? So who knows?
4 to 5 hours a night. That's what happens. When you don't get sleep, your body shuts down critical functions, including your sexual function. It also eliminates, you have NK cells in your body. These are cells that go out and survey for cancer. At high quality sleep,
make me wanna
your body
my night.
lowers searching for cancer by 73%. Your body stops looking for cancer. Okay. Also, when you get 4 hours of sleep a night,
There is definitely not going to be Bitcoin content in this Bitcoin conference. What the fuck?
press upon you that sleep is not just a productive thing that helps you make better decisions and have a stable mood. It also, if you don't get it, your body literally shuts down really important functions. So here, I'm just going to give you guys.
Could I just go to Bitcoin conferences and talk about longevity?
I'm going to give you guys this. Pull out your phones, grab this QR code. This is what I eat on an ongoing basis. So the thing.
Oh, if any Bitcoin conference organizer are listening to this, then and want to invite me to talk about longevity, then I'm up for it.
So the thing that distinguishes my endeavor is we have combed through the scientific evidence. We've used the philosophy to say every calorie has to fight for its life. Every single molecule that gets in my body. And we said, what are the superfoods among superfoods? This is a great representation. So as you try to, so number one is lower your resting heart rate. Two is have good nutrition and eat from this guide. This is probably the most evidence-based guide out there. Finally, I think we all know this. The most consequential thing happening in the world right now, of course, outside of Bitcoin, that's obvious. Second to Bitcoin is AI. AI is progressing at a speed that is unfathomable to our current minds. It is changing things beyond our ability to understand. As it does this, I want to put forward to you that as a species, we're going to be playing a new game. And whereas right now our games are primarily locked in on status, prestige, wealth, and power, the new game as a species is going to become how we stay alive individually and as a species. That's what Don't Die is. Don't Die is about individual health.
Right now, we are playing the game of money and power, and we're gonna play the game of survival because that's where the trends of the future are. What's this talking about? I don't get it. Wouldn't it be the opposite that in the past we were playing the game of survival because it's like, and 90% of us died as infants, right? So, okay, whatever.
Individual health. But Don't Die really is trying to answer the fundamental question, what does a species do when you're giving birth to super intelligence?
Fuck. Okay, this might not be complete bullshit. Let me repeat that. What does the species do when we are giving birth to super intelligence? That's an interesting question. So that's what Don't Die is about, which is his cult or religion. I'm using his words. His Don't Die is a religion and his competitor is Jesus. So I'm quoting him right now. Okay, so that's why it's a very deep religion, because Don't Die is contending of how we are protecting ourselves from the machines. I mean, okay, maybe, I don't know. I need more context than this.
Don't die individually. Don't kill each other. Don't destroy the planet. Align AI with Don't Die. That Don't Die is attempting to be the world's next major global ideology, on par with democracy, capitalism, Christianity, Islam. It is meant to say, as a species,
I mean, there are worse ideologies than that. Well, I don't know. I mean, look, there are ideologies, those are trying to do the best and end up doing really badly, right? Like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and if you really take Don't Die to an extreme, and I did hear Bryan take it to an extreme as specifying everything as offering you a chocolate as a microaggression, then the natural consequence is that you should get a punishment for that. If I would be offering you a cigarette, then what kind of punishment should I get if I can't even offer you a chocolate, right? Like, I don't like where this is going. In some sense, I like it, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful.
as a species, this is what we do. This moment can't be overstated in consequence. For centuries from
YOLO, lol, don't die. Not laughing because that's a good man. Laughing because it's so bad.
for centuries, for millennia before, you would say death is inevitable, therefore YOLO. I'm going to raise an army and conquer territories. I'm going to go to war. I'm going to be immortal will end my professional accomplishments. I'm going to acquire wealth. I'm going to have children. This is the first moment in the history of the human race where somebody can say with a straight face, we may be the first generation who will not die. And that requires a fundamental revolution. Don't die is the single thing that every human on this planet can agree to. Nobody wants to die right now. So in summary, I hope you guys are open to the idea that this moment is fundamentally different than any previous moment, that you practice these principles of don't die.
Again, he's saying it so many times, and yet still no argument made. Like, it's almost like he's trying to make us believe this to be the case by repetition rather than any argument.
Starting with your resting heart rate, you will be more successful, you will be happier, you will be a better family member, better partner, better at your work if you prioritize sleep. And that if you do this together, we can map out a path of our potential that I think is unfathomable to our minds. Thank you. Be well.
Well, overall, it was a great presentation. It had nothing to do with Bitcoin. Well, I hope you Bitcoiners and longevity people enjoyed that. No result. Don't die.